We welcome you to Monroe High School tonight for a little clash in the Rocky River 2A, 3A conference. It's crosstown rivals, the Monroe Redhawks, taking on the Yellow Jackets of Forest Hills in the first of two regular season meetings on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week. Hi everyone, Kendall Lewis here with you tonight on BahakelSports.com as we dive right into this matchup. Forest Hills coming into this one 9-7, 2-3 in the conference, and it all starts with Jamarian Mingo, who will have to lead the way tonight. 11.5 points a game, almost 3 rebounds a game, because the Yellow Jackets' top scorer, Amari Melton, is out in tonight's game. That's a blow for the Forest Hills Yellow Jackets. For Monroe, 4-3, 2-2 in the conference standings right now. It's kind of a logjam in the Rocky River 2A, 3A conference. This game here could have major state playoff implications. And for Monroe, Kagan Chambers, 12.9 points per game. Monroe looking to take care of home court tonight on a team that has played, as we just showed you, 7 games on the year. And again, these two teams looking for a pivotal conference victory. The Rocky River 2A, 3A split conference. These two teams will both be seated in the 2A classification come state playoff time. And again, in the middle part of that conference right now. This should be a fun one here tonight on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week. Johnny Sell, the head coach for the Monroe Redhawks. He's also the head football coach here at Monroe. For Forest Hills, it's Danny Bailey. In year number 3 is the head coach for the Yellow Jackets of Forest Hills, making that 10-minute trip from Marshville here to Monroe High School to take on the Redhawks. Monroe in the home whites, red letters, red numbers, red trim. Forest Hills in the black. They've got the gold trim, and the Redhawks win the opening tip here in the second of our doubleheader tonight on BahakelSports.com. Jordan Young controls the rock. This is a Monroe team that had a really good football season, making it all the way to the 4th round in the 2A state playoffs. Open look from 3, no, second chance, followed up. Makai Allen, the first 2 points for the Redhawks. And on the other end, layup in the foul. Terry Moser with a chance at 3 for Forest Hills. And you get your first look at Moser, who's a junior for Forest Hills. And a chance at 3 here in the opening 30 seconds of the first quarter. This is a Monroe team. Again, we mentioned we talk about their football season because 11 of their 14 players are football guys. Young will dial it up from 3. Off the mark. Rebound. This one turned back. Big block from Moser. Coast to coast on the other end. And a whistle and a foul comes in against the Redhawks. Let's take a second look. Mingo trying to slice to the bucket, and there was body contact. And Mingo at the line. We mentioned he's our player to watch for Forest Hills tonight. Mingo, just a sophomore. A couple of talented sophomores for Forest Hills in this one tonight as he goes 1 of 2 at the stripe. And an early 4-2 lead. Forest Hills playing without Amari Melton, the lefty, who is leading this team in scoring at 15 points a game. So big blow for the Yellow Jackets tonight in a rival game. Corner pocket 3, long. Tapped around, offensive board, collected back in, and up strong on the finish. That time for Allen. Makai Allen, the first 4 points for Monroe. Huntley, drive and kick. Open look, Chambers. And then a whistle and a foul, trying to corral the rebound. Team foul number 1 on the Yellow Jackets. And Redhawks basketball here About 90 seconds in to play on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week. First of 2 meetings in the regular season. Young trying to float it inside. They dump it over the top. Allen going to work again inside, and he finishes. And here comes the full court pressure from the Red Hawks. And whistle and contact along the far sideline. Take a second look. Little high-low action from Ivy to Allen, who's got the first 6 points of the game for the Red Hawks. Huntley gives way to Mingo. Here he is. He'll survey the floor. Mingo, a guy that pulls in about 3 rebounds a night for Forest Hills as well. And along the baseline, this one tapped out of the hands of Huntley. It'll stay on this end with the Yellow Jackets. And packed in here, great atmosphere. One of the older rivalries in Union County. And open look from the corner. Winnigan couldn't finish. Here's a corner look. Kagan Chambers, you betcha, hits it from 3. And an early 5-point lead for the Red Hawks. Slicing to the bucket, in and out. And rebound collected in by Xavier and Ivy. A chance to build on the largest lead of the game for the Red Hawks here early. 3 minutes into the first quarter. And looking for Allen again. This one deflected off the fingertips of Allen. It'll be Forest Hills basketball. Again, Monroe will mix it in defensively. We're going to get to these two coaches here in this one. Great backstories. And a takeaway, a steal. Active hands, coast to coast, and the finish. And Jamari Clark turning defense to offense. An early 7-point lead for the Red Hawks. Mingo pulls up. And short on the jumper, but a whistle and a foul against Monroe here at the 4:40 mark of the first quarter. And Jamari and Mingo are going to go to the free throw line for Forest Hills. This is a guy that Coach Bailey said has really taken on those point guard duties. Talk about his role being magnified tonight without Amari Melton, who is injured for Forest Hills. And here's the second one for Mingo. He cashes in. 5-point lead for the Red Hawks. Young, he can shoot it from there. Looked at the 3, instead gives it up. They feed it into the high post. Back out, Young from distance, and it spins out. Rebound collected in by the Yellow Jackets. Mingo, coast to coast, corner. They'll kick it back out front, Huntley. Attacking, floater, long, rebound Red Hawks. And Monroe looking to push. Kagan Chambers to the bucket, gets the roll. And then this one tapped out of bounds in the corner. Boy, the Forest Hills faithful thought that Chambers might have got away with a travel and instead score the bucket. 13-6. Just under 4 minutes left to play first quarter. Kendall Lewis here with you on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week. Here's the trap. Nowhere to go for Mingo. A turnover. And Young will stick it in off glass. On the other end. Nice move on the turnaround for KJ Chambers. And a much-needed bucket for the Yellow Jackets there. On a scoring drought of a couple of minutes. Young sets his feet from 3 and connects. 10-point Red Hawks lead. Their largest of the first quarter. And a whistle and a foul comes in. And Monroe over the limit here for the rest of the first quarter. 5th team foul. And I'll put the Yellow Jackets at the free throw line. This is Samuel Huntley, a senior. His brother Josh, a junior. We'll call their names quite a bit tonight as he steps up and cashes in on the first. Samuel Huntley on the second try, can't get the roll. A rebound, Red Hawks. Zone look on D from Forest Hills. And we've seen Monroe getting into the high post a couple of times here. That one deflected. Active hands from Josh Huntley. And here come the Yellow Jackets. Coast to coast. Knocked out of the hands of Mingo. And Forest Hills will regroup. Open look from 3. And Samuel Huntley can't knock it down. Red Hawks back on the other end. Young will set his feet and connects again from distance. His second made triple. 21-9, 12-point lead for the Red Hawks. And Mingo attacking, had it blocked out of his hands. Coast to coast on the other end for Clark. And a whistle and a foul against the Yellow Jackets. We'll take a second look at that last sequence. Big time block from Bryson Simpkins, who Coach Sowell raved about in our discussion earlier before this one. And Jamari Clark, who had a steal and a bucket earlier here in the corner at the free throw line for the Red Hawks of Monroe. Clark just a junior for this Monroe team. Spins out the second, but Allen follows it up. And Monroe's lead grows to 15 points here with just over 2 to play first quarter. Mingo in the paint, can't get the floater to go, tapped around, and rebound Red Hawks. Young in the corner. Trying to bounce feed inside to Clark. Broken up. Numbers for the Yellow Jackets. Mingo can't finish, but followed up by Samuel Huntley for 2. And a big bucket for the Yellow Jackets there. Trims the deficit back to 13. Again, game 2 of our doubleheader here on Bahakel Sports. .com. Diagonal feed and a takeaway by the Yellow Jackets. Little give and go action. KJ Chambers to the bucket. Tapped around, loose change. And then a whistle and a foul against the Yellow Jackets. Just the 3rd team foul on Forest Hills. Here at the 107 mark of the first quarter. And a substitution for the Red Hawks. Jordan Young will bring it up the floor, a junior. We mentioned 11 of the 14 players on this Monroe roster are football players for Coach Sowell. He's the head varsity football coach here, as well as track and field. Young sets his feet from 3 again. And a big rebound pulled in by Huntley. And here come the Yellow Jackets. Winnigan looking to attack. Instead, he'll get it back out front. Winnigan cutting. Can't finish through contact. Tapped around. This one falls right to KJ Chambers, who had the shot altered. And Simpkins came away with it. Corner pocket 3. Long, Allen, the offensive board. Good find underneath on the dish to Bryson Simpkins. And lead back up to 15. 3 seconds and a reach-in foul against the Red Hawks. And a chance at points with 3.2 ticks left. To the free throw line goes Jamarian Mingo. And spins out on the first free throw. These are important here. And we mentioned Forest Hills facing a little bit of adversity tonight. No Amari Melton in the lineup. That's 15 points a night that is out for the Yellow Jackets in this one. 1 of 2. 2 seconds. Young, the heave at the horn. And the first quarter comes to a close. 14-point lead for Monroe after 1 on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week. We'll take a break. We'll be right back right after these messages. (26-12), Monroe a 14-point lead on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week from Monroe High School tonight. You get a look inside the huddle of head coach Johnny Sowell, who we mentioned has been here for over 30 years as the head coach at Monroe High School. Coach Sowell's been here 38 years exactly coaching the Red Hawks. Mentioned he's the head football, basketball, and track coach. He was a 1981 Monroe High School graduate. He also played for a state championship in basketball and won a state championship here at Monroe High School back in the 2010 season. So you think about Monroe High School, some great athletes have come through here, and a basketball state championship back in 2010. Mingo controls the rock for the Yellow Jackets. And a whistle and a reach-in foul against the Red Hawks. Monroe picked up their 5th team foul with several minutes to go in the first quarter. That's their first here, the second quarter, just 14 seconds in. Something to pay attention to here for the Red Hawks. And a steal on a takeaway. Kagan Chambers leads it off. And that time, Allen met at the rim, couldn't finish it. Forest Hills, deep 3. And this one's short for Mingo. Well, he can shoot it from there. Mingo, you mentioned 11.5 points a game, is a good shooter for Forest Hills. And that time missed everything on the 3. Kagan Chambers surveys the floor for Monroe. Back out front, this is Simpkins. Jacoby Allen, diagonal feed. Young, inside working, gets it to go off glass. Tell you what, we talk about Young in this first half. Jordan Young is a load for the Red Hawks. And a whistle and a foul comes against Monroe. .6:39 left to play, second quarter. And it'll be Forest Hills basketball underneath their own hoop. Cameron Winnigan with the rock here. He's just a sophomore as well. Kicks it out. Mingo will try it from distance for three. Pull-up jumper. Two good looks for the Yellow Jackets. They couldn't convert. Looking for the baseline. Reversing it is Chambers. And the follow-up good. Forest Hills quickly in transition. Rivera rejected. Here come the Redhawks with numbers. Simpkins from deep. Connects. And a timeout, Yellow Jackets. 33-12 here at the 6-minute mark of the second quarter on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week. And Johnny Sal's unit looking for what would be their third conference win in the Rocky River 2A, 3A. And folks, we want to remind you, Friday night, we go to Marvin Ridge for a little 4A clash streaming live right here on BahakelSports.com. We've got the women starting at 6 o'clock in that one. Weddington and Marvin Ridge, a nice rivalry at the 4A level. And the men's game will be at 7:30. That's right here on BahakelSports.com. And the Weddington men this year, top 10 in the state in the 4A West classification. Young the steal and the easy lay-in. And this lead just continues to balloon for the Redhawks here midway through the second quarter. Covington to skip. The lob inside. Moser. Oh, good drop off. And then turned back by Simpkins. Here come the Redhawks. Young attacking again. Can't finish, but a pair of free throws coming. Young goes to the free throw line for Monroe. This is a guy that you look at Young, just a junior. Everyone in the country is after this kid on the gridiron. Ultra-talented receiver and defensive back here for the Redhawks in football for Coach Johnny Sal. And here's a steal. And the flush. Kagan Chambers with authority. And a trap at midcourt. Down the alley, tough move and finish for Moser. Give Terry Moser 4 points in the first half for Forest Hills. They feed it inside. Good position for Jacoby Allen. And his first bucket here the first half for the Redhawks. And trying to skip it. It's deflected. Last touch by the Yellow Jackets. We'll take a second look at block from earlier. Monroe is so good at blocking it back in bounds. When you watch them on tape, most of their blocked shots are back in play. They can get out in transition. Here's a steal here. Moser had it momentarily. Now it's loose on the floor. And Young picks it up. And the three empty. That time from Allen, it hits the basket protection. It'll go back to Forest Hills. Just over 4 minutes left to go, second quarter. Yellow Jackets desperately needing a bucket here, as this one's deflected out of play. Mentioned these two teams about 10 or 15 minutes apart. Will meet again, the last game of the regular season in a few weeks at Forest Hills. And knocked out of the hands momentarily of KJ Chambers. Now loose on the floor, picked up by Samuel Huntley. And a whistle in contact, a foul against the Red Hawks. And they're going to get Jacoby Allen, the culprit on the foul. His first, team foul number 3 of the second quarter on Monroe. Winnigan with 3.5. Good spin move. Slicing in. Score it in the foul. And a nice move by the sophomore Cameron Winnigan for a chance at 3. We mentioned Forest Hills. You go down this roster. Winnigan's a sophomore. KJ Chambers is a sophomore. Amari Melton, who is their top scorer, is out tonight, is also a sophomore. Some really good young talent for Danny Bailey and this Yellow Jacket team. And rebound pulled in. Red Hawks looking to build on this lead. Kagan Chambers, the junior. They'll try to feed this one inside. Jacoby Allen. The drop off to Makai Allen. Extra pass out for 3 was Jordan Young. And then a whistle inside and a foul. And foul going to go against KJ Chambers, his first. Here at the 3:09 mark of the second quarter. And a substitution for the Yellow Jackets. Makai Allen had it poked out of his hands, and the Yellow Jackets come away with it. Winnigan in the paint. The pickpocket. The steal for Davis. The drop off. And Kagan Chambers missed the bunny. And 15 foul on Monroe is going to put the Yellow Jackets to the free throw line. And in the bonus the rest of the quarter. KJ Chambers at the line for Forest Hills, a guy that Coach Bailey says does all the right things. I was talking with him before. He says, look, I think every coach deserves an opportunity to coach a kid like KJ Chambers, who's also just a sophomore on this Yellow Jackets team. Coach Bailey says he's always one of the first to show up and one of the last to leave the gym. And we've got a timeout here at the 2:49 mark. Oh, excuse me, substitution here at the 2:49 mark, I beg your pardon, of the second quarter. And this lead just ballooned here in the second quarter for Monroe. It's 26-12 after 1 if you're just tuning in. Coach Johnny Sow and his system, they do a great job. We mentioned a state championship in basketball back in the 2010 season. And this one, last touch by the Red Hawks. It'll go back to Forest Hills. Catch and fire for 3 from the corner. Off the mark, offensive rebound, Yellow Jackets. Second chance, Rivera, he hits it. And trims the deficit down to 21 here in the final 150 of the second quarter. Mention these two teams, 10-15 minutes apart, rivals for years. And a packed out Monroe High School tonight. Good take to the bucket. Explosive first step for Bryson Simpkins. Well, they skip it out of the double team. Back out front to Mingo. He'll survey the floor with just over a minute to play. Quick crossover, pull up Jay, you betcha. Smooth stroke for Cameron Winnigan. Kagan Chambers leaves it off and blocked out of bounds. Winnigan swats it out of there. It'll stay on this end with the Red Hawks. Baseline out of bounds for the Red Hawks. Mentioned young, multi-talented athlete here at Monroe, number 11 in white. Has everyone after him for football. Wild shot off glass. Makai Allen saves it. And the kick out. Open three, you betcha. Kagan Chambers. And a double team and a whistle and a foul just inside of midcourt with 28.7 ticks left. We mentioned Monroe over the limit, so the Yellow Jackets at the free throw line here. And the first one's up and good for Mingo. And a couple of substitutions here for Forest Hills. We mentioned this is a pivotal game in the Rocky River Conference tonight. Both of these teams in the 2A classification. This league is a split conference with a couple of 3A teams. And now Forest Hill is going to come with a little bit of pressure here against the Red Hawks in the final 24 seconds. A whistle and another foul. Just the third against Forest Hills. Now Simpkins will trigger it in for Monroe. Chambers looking inside. Simpkins, good up fake, and the finish off glass. Bryson Simpkins, the silent assassin for the Red Hawks. Mingo, sweet move up and under. And the first half comes to a close. Monroe, a 23-point lead at the break, 48-25. We'll be right back on our Downer Law Firm halftime report on BahakelSports.com. We welcome you back on our Downer Law Firm halftime report on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week. In Game 2, it's the Monroe Redhawks leading Forest Hills 48-25 here at halftime. And I'm now joined by the head women's coach of the Forest Hills Yellow Jackets. You guys, a big win in Rocky River Conference play, 54-51 in the first game of our doubleheader early. Coach Raines, take me through. You guys had a 13-point lead at the half, faced some adversity, but your young group found a way to get it done.
Yes, sir. Just proud of this young group. Like you said, we had some adversity, had trouble scoring in the third quarter, getting into our press. Yeah. You saw the Sanaya 24. Got a few. What great hands she has. Did you see that catch you made? But we number 30 came in for us, Ivory. And helped contain her, and I thought that was a game changer, and we were able to get a few buckets to get in our pressure defense, and we were able to score out of that. But that third quarter was a long time, about half the quarter before we scored a bucket.
And you've got a team full of freshmen and sophomore, maybe the youngest team in the state of North Carolina this year, but how big was Griffin and Melton? Griffin hit 3 threes in the first half.
I tell you what, Griffin got in a little foul trouble, but she came in there third quarter. We had to trust her. She got what we thought was 4 fouls. There was a little confusion at the stage scores table, but she came in, hit a couple big buckets at the end for us. Got a couple big rebounds pulled down, and Leah Melton just under control, poised all the time. A great for a freshman. Just a great player for us.
No question about it. And you guys are now 3-3 in Rocky River Conference play. Just your second year as the head coach. I know you told me before this one how pivotal you thought this game tonight would be come seeding for state playoffs.
Well, we're
all right, folks, that's head coach Brandon Raines here on our Downer Law Firm halftime report. We welcome you back to our Downer Law Firm halftime report on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week. Kendall Lewis here with you. It's 48-25 officially, 23-point lead for the Redhawks of Monroe over the Yellow Jackets of Forest Hills in Game 2 of our doubleheader. We'll take a a look at some of the highlights of the first half of this one. Some big-time blocks, some big-time plays. And Monroe able to stretch the lead out to 23 there in the second quarter. I mentioned this is a group that you look at their record 4-3. They are much better than that. And a lot of guys coming off of football season in the middle part of December, because this team went all the way to the fourth round of state, and a big steal and dunk there for Kagan Chambers. Once again, big lead for the Redhawks of Monroe. We'll take another break. Second half coming up right after this. Tonight's Bahakel Sports Game of the Week brought to you by Queen City Audio, Video, and Appliances, your outdoor kitchen and tailgate headquarters. Acosta Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. And last but not least, the Downer Law Firm, Charlotte's hometown legal team. We come back to you with Monroe, a big lead entering the second half. 23-point lead, 48-25, as we get set to start the third quarter between a big rivalry here in Union County. The Yellow Jackets of Forest Hills visiting Monroe, and again, we found out just before the game that Amari Melton, the top scorer for Forest Hills, out tonight. He's a 15-point scorer per game, so it's tough without him, a double-figure score, but this is a very talented young Forest Hills team. We'll see what type of adjustments Coach Bailey makes if the Yellow Jackets can get in it here early in the second half. And Monroe will start with the basketball, the home whites and the red trim. Kendall Lewis here with you. Forest Hills won their first game in the women's side earlier tonight, 54-51. It was good to talk with Coach Raines there at halftime. We appreciate Monroe High School with the hospitality tonight. It's part of our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week package. They feed it inside. Makai Allen missed it on the doorstep. Second chance, no, and then tapped out of bounds. Last touch by the Yellow Jackets. It'll stay with the Red Hawks. Here's what's at stake in this one. You've got two teams with two conference wins. A win here for Monroe would put them above 500 in the Rocky River 2A, 3A conference. Nice take to the basket and the finish from Jamari Clark. Cameron Winnigan did some nice things for Forest Hills. Number 11 in black. Here he is, corner. Looked at the three. Instead, he'll pull it back out. Jamarian Mingo. Inside, Winnigan. The kick out. Samuel Huntley shot fake and then had the pocket picked. Quick hands from Jamari Clark. And the Red Hawks turn it over in transition. We'll take a second look on the steal and the dunk from Kagan Chambers from earlier on in this game. Huntley with the basketball out front. Quick crossover. Drives in and draws the foul. Here at the 6:27 mark of the third. We talked about these two teams will be seated in the 2A classification, even though it's a 2A, 3A split conference. Got a handful of 3A schools in the league. Piedmont, Parkwood. A couple of 3A schools in this league. And a roll on the second. And a steal in the backcourt from Mingo. Leaves it off for Rivera. Boy, a golden opportunity to get more points on the board. Maybe spark something here for Forest Hills. And this one tapped out of play. We'll stay with Monroe, the basketball. And a whistle and a foul. Charge to Jamarian Mingo. Red Hawks basketball with just over 6 to play, third quarter. Kendall Lewis here with you. Once again, folks, Friday night, Weddington, Marvin Ridge. Our Bahakel Sports doubleheader Friday night. And a whistle and a foul. Off ball against the Red Hawks that will give it back to Forest Hills. We mentioned Forest Hills, coached by Danny Bailey. He's in year number 3. Here's the head coach for Forest Hills. 8 years as an assistant coach under Matt Sides, who he took over for just a few years ago. And a shuffle of the feet and a travel. A substitution for the Yellow Jackets with Josh Huntley checking back in. Red Hawks get it up the floor amongst the pressure. Tell you what, Monroe's so good moving off ball. Johnny Sowell's system, it's been really good for years. Lots of screeners, cutters, and movement. Mentioned 11 of the 14 also play football for Coach Sowell here at Monroe. And whistle and a foul underneath. Against the Red Hawks again. Coach Sowell pleading his case with the official. And this is going to go back to Forest Hills. Mingo will bring it up the floor for the Yellow Jackets. Huntley looking for the baseline, sealed off. Here comes the double team to Skip. Mingo comes down with it. Cameron Winnigan will survey the floor. Mingo looking for a crease, bullies his way to the rack, can't get it to go. Tap back, no. On the second chance from KJ Chambers. And rebound, Red Hawks. Strong Euro step that time from Bryson Simpkins, and off his leg and out of bounds, back to the Yellow Jackets. Catch and shoot from 3, and it's long from Winnigan. And Simpkins again clears the board for the Red Hawks, and running the floor, Makai Allen. his first 2 points of the second half. He had the first 6 of the game for the Red Hawks. Here's Allen streaking. Allen absorbing contact and draws the whistle. And Mekhi Allen has started every game for Monroe. This is a kid that is just a freshman, folks. I'll tell you what, this rivalry really going to amp up as the years go on with the amount of talent we've seen in the 9th and 10th grade class of these two teams. And along the sideline, out of play, this will go back to Forest Hills. And that zone look for Monroe, it seems to be pushing Forest Hills further and further away from the basket. And that time a deep 3 from Mingo misses long. Just over 3 minutes to go, third quarter. And off the leg of Young and out of bounds. And this one out of bounds in the corner that time. The turnovers mounting up for Forest Hills here. Late third quarter, they're going to come with a little bit of pressure. Back out to Allen on the flush. The throwdown. And the freshman gets up to pin it down. Here's a steal. On the other end comes Simpkins, the spin cycle, and the finish. How about a freshman with the one-handed throwdown in Allen, and then Simpkins, the sophomore, the steal. And how about this? The tap lead ahead to Young, and it's out of bounds. Boy, this place ready to explode if Monroe could have scored on that one. (57-26) with 2.5 left to play in the third. And it's all Monroe here in this one. Game 2 of our doubleheader on BahakelSports.com. You get a look inside of Johnny Sowell's huddle. Folks, that is a 38-year coach here at Monroe High School. If you weren't with us earlier when I said this, he played for a state championship in the 1979-1980 season, is the head football, basketball, and track coach here at the school. And the interesting thing is he also coached the Shrine Bowl for the state of North Carolina this year on the football side of things. And oh, by the way, he's the head track and field coach as well. We mentioned 11 of his 14 players all play for him in football. So once again, he said, we pride ourselves on defense. And Coach Sal, if you're going to play here at Monroe, you're going to play defense. And they've been long and active in this zone today. He says, look, it's not your traditional 2-3 zone look. It's more of a matchup zone, and we're aggressive with our length and getting out into passing lanes like that right there, a deflection. And Allen touched it last. It'll stay with the Yellow Jackets of Forest Hills. Nearly a steal as Chambers gambled. Mingo floater, you betcha. Jamarian Mingo, an incredible sophomore talent for Forest Hills. You're going to hear his name quite a bit the next couple of years. Both of these teams with incredible young talent, guys that are, I think, going to have the opportunity to play at the next level. You got to look at that last floater from Mingo. Here's Mingo, number 4 in black, surveys. Again, that zone just keeps pushing Forest Hills out further and further away from the basket. They feed it inside. Tough move. Shot was altered. Simpkins. And on the follow that time, KJ Chambers. Just over a minute left to play, third quarter. And a whistle and a reach-in foul. Couple of substitutions for the Yellow Jackets. 27-point lead for Monroe. Again, in the first quarter, it was back and forth until late. The final 2-3 minutes of the first quarter, Monroe stretched their lead out 26-12 and haven't looked back since. Again, Forest Hills, without their top scorer at 15 points a game, and that's tough. A guy, Amari Melton, who does so much for this Yellow Jackets team. And a whistle and contact. It was against the against the Red Hawks, which will put the Yellow Jackets at the line. And 15 foul for the Red Hawks. We mentioned a win tonight could go a long way when you look at the conference standings for these two teams. Monroe currently in third place behind Parkwood and Piedmont. Those are two teams that are 3A, a part of this 2A, 3A split conference, as Allen runs the floor, catches and lays it in. Nice skip out of the double team. Extra pass to a cutting Rivera for 2. Young catching fire from 3. Final 10 seconds. Winnigan surveys. Winnigan with 1 second gets it to go as the third quarter comes to a close. Tough bucket for the sophomore who caps off through contact to end the third. 59-36. We'll be right back on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week. We come back to you with Monroe leading Forest Hills 59-36 on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week as we start the fourth quarter here from Monroe High School tonight. This is the first of two meetings between these two teams. And Winnigan going to pull this away. Rivera nowhere to go, trying to skip it to Huntley, back out to Winnigan at the top. Winnigan, the step through, it wouldn't drop. He had a bucket to close out the third quarter for the Yellow Jackets. Good step through and the drop off to finish for Xavion Ivey. We mentioned Monroe, a team, you look at their record, they only played 7 games. Of course, Coach Sal is also the football coach, so they can't schedule non-conference games until about middle of December is when they started their season. We mentioned 11 of their 14 players are football players here at Monroe High School. So that's why they've played much fewer games, at least to this point. And starting to settle in, as Coach Sal said. Win tonight could go a long way. Piedmont Parkwood first and second place in this league right now in the Rocky River Conference. Covington out front for Forest Hills. Josh Huntley's in the game as well. Excuse me, Josh Rivera in the game for Forest Hills. Good move that time from Samuel Huntley, who sticks it back in. Young surveys the floor. Kagan Chambers looking inside. Covington on the pull-up. Had it altered. Catch and shoot from 3. It's Rivera. And off glass. Redhawks finally secure the rebound. Bounce feed inside. Chambers will pull it back out. Monroe going to eat some clock here in the fourth. And then a slash to the bucket as Ivey draws the contact here with 5:01 left to play in the fourth quarter. And Ivey will be at the free throw line for the Redhawks of Monroe. First one rattles in for Ivey. The 62-38 Redhawks lead. We mentioned what would be a big win. These two teams going to play at Forest Hills the last game of the regular season. As Covington tried a 3. And then more whistles come in. Well, Forest Hills will come with a little bit of pressure here. Just under 5 minutes to play. Fourth quarter. Kendall Lewis here with you on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week. Chambers. Young had it knocked out of his hands. It'll stay on this end with Monroe. Again, you look at these two teams, their schedules. Monroe, we mentioned, looking for what would be their third conference win in Rocky River play this year. Open look from three short. And offensive board for Chambers. They'll reset. And tap back for two. Ivy with the bucket for Monroe. Well, for Monroe, they'll travel to take on Anson tomorrow night. The back-to-back games this week for Johnny Sowell's crew. You look at Forest Hills. Will play at Parkwood, team that is in second place currently in the Rocky River 2A, 3A on Friday night. So they'll have a few days off. Again, we're glad you're tuned in with us from wherever you may be tonight. Samuel Huntley at the free throw line for Forest Hills. Again, you look at Forest Hills, and they've battled in this second half, of course, without their leading scorer, their leader in assists, and Amari Melton, who would amount for so much. Able to get him back. Of course, this could be a really good game the second time these two teams play in a few weeks. This would fumble right into the hands of Covington. And here comes Forest Hills. Just over 3 to play, fourth quarter. Mingo, extra pass. Covington hits it from 3. That's Naheem Covington, the freshman, knocking it down for the Yellow Jackets. Good pass inside, and all alone is Simpkins. Just a breakdown defensively from the Yellow Jackets. And Simpkins sticks it in for 2 more. He's had a nice second half for Monroe. And a 3 from the corner. Larry Parker knocks it down. Was talking with Coach Sal before this game today. He said, look, I feel like I've got 7 starters. We talk about Simpkins, who comes off the bench. He's the spark plug for the Redhawks this year, off the bench. Said he could easily be a starter in our system, but I felt more comfortable the last few weeks bringing Simpkins off the bench, and we've seen him provide that spark tonight. Corner 3, good. Samuel Huntley hits it. And the final 90 seconds ticking off here for Monroe High School. And now a timeout here with 1:24. Folks, we want to remind you, Friday night, check us out on BahakelSports.com. It's Weddington at Marvin Ridge on the 4A side of things, with the women starting at 6 o'clock, the men at 7:30. You can catch both games right here on BahakelSports.com. And there's a look at head coach Danny Bailey, who we mentioned for the Yellow Jackets is in year number 3 as the head coach. He's been at Forest Hills for 8 years, was an assistant under Matt Sides. And Coach Bailey, just a great guy. I was talking with him before the game. He is actually a cancer survivor. And he told me, he said, look, you know, this job, it was meant to be. He got the job at Forest Hills 2 months after recovery. And was able to meet his father, who was in attendance watching his son on the sidelines for Forest Hills tonight. Well, we meet some great folks on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week, and Coach Bailey's got a tremendous young team that is certainly going to be a force as they continue to mature and get older. Final minute of play. Here's the skip corner. Back out front, Mingo, a floater, it's short. And rebound, Redhawks. To the bucket, and the finger roll finish for Gavin Davis. Are these two teams going to play again, as we mentioned, at Forest Hills here in just a few weeks? Final game of the regular season on the 16th of February. And three ball good. Isaiah Wesson, his first make of the night, gets involved for the Redhawks. And the final 5 seconds is Monroe going to score to end it. And the final here from Monroe High School, 76-49. The Redhawks win round one of this rivalry. They'll play again on the 16th of February in Monroe, 3-2 in Rocky River Conference play. For Kendall Lewis, the rest of our Bahakel Sports production crew, we appreciate you tuning in tonight. We say so long from Monroe, North Carolina.